Hey YouTube, what's up? So I want to talk about the toxic, deadly, colorist alliance between dark-skinned, brown-skinned black men and light-skinned, biracial, mixed, black identified women. And I think, this honestly is like a match made in colorist hell, you know. You know, I think that the matchup is actually a pretty good matchup as far as you know them being able to get something out of one another, but it's actually in reality a pretty toxic and destructive alliance that they have between each other. You know, they make a great pair because partially because both of them are willing to throw their counterparts under the bus. The light-skinned biracial female is willing to disregard and you know, have little association with the light-skinned biracial mixed men, and will gladly participate in uplifting the brown-skinned, dark-skinned men over the light-skinned biracial men. Because they just really hungry for a cookie from brown skin, dark skin men, and even brown skin, dark skin women, who low key kind of sometimes tend to live vicariously through their brown skin, dark skin male counterparts. As quiet as is kept, that does happen. Right? Yeah. But also, I think the brown skin, dark skin females, you know, take it as a somewhat of a source of pride because the brown skinned dark skinned men are like their counterparts, so it's like in a way like if you're uplifting their male counterpart, then you're in a roundabout way uplifting them too, which I can understand. I can understand where that comes from. you know and of course the brown skinned dark skinned men, they definitely have no problem putting the light skinned biracial mixed females on a pedestal. They gladly will do that, you know, over their own counterpart because they don't have love for their own counterpart like that. They don't see themselves reflected in their brown skinned, dark skinned female counterpart. On the flip side, brown skinned, dark skinned women and light skinned biracial mixed men would not make the best alliance. It depends on what you want. It depends on what you want. But I'm going to say, I'll put it out there and say that I don't think brown skinned, dark skinned women really need an alliance to get things done in their favor. Honestly, I think they could do it. They have the numbers. They can do it on their own. They can, turn this community upside down if they really wanted to. But I don't know if they really want to. I don't know if they really want to put their, skin in a game like that. Which, can be scary because it's like, to an extent, it's like the saying, like, if you kill a cow, you got to make burgers. You can't. It's like you can't go halfway with it. You got to go all the way through with it if you do this. You know. Um, but I don't think that the light skinned biracial mixed men and the dark skinned brown skinned women would make the best alliance because neither one of them are willing to throw their counterparts under the bus because they're smart enough to know that their counterpart you know is a reflection of them, and they have enough self-love not to do that, you know as well. Neither one of those groups would put you know each other over their own counterparts. Like light-skinned biracial mixed men probably aren't going to elevate brown-skinned, dark-skinned women over their light-skinned female counterparts, and vice versa. Especially with the brown-skinned, dark-skinned women, they're not going to participate in that. You know, when it comes to the brown-skinned, dark-skinned women, really, like they view and treat that brown-skinned, dark-skinned man as pretty much their Lord, their Savior, their God. A lot of low-key idol worship when it comes to that relationship. They will do anything to protect their brown-skinned, dark-skinned men. They will put themselves in danger, and we have seen this play out in the media where you have some black woman or black women facing down police officers, climbing the Statue of Liberty, doing things that they ain't supposed to really be doing as women like that. You know what I mean? you know and I think I really don't like to get into my spiritual side with you niggas, but I'll tell you this though. Like, you ain't supposed to really be participating in idol worship, as in making idols and people who you worship. Like, yes, God blessed you with your brown skin, dark skin male counterpart. He did. But he did not bless you with that so that that counterpart would take his place as your Lord, Savior, and God. And I think part of the reason that brown skinned, dark skinned women are kind of like in the position that they're in and seemingly, getting like such the strong brunt of things is partially because of that. Because low key, that light skinned biracial female, she don't worship that brown skinned, dark skinned man. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted now. On the surface, it may seem like the light skinned women and dark skinned women are both equally obsessed, we'll say, with the brown skinned, dark skinned men. But when you really start to analyze it, the light skinned females tend not to be so obsessed as, not as much as it may seem, Low key, they're probably more obsessed with themselves than the brown skinned, dark skinned men. And if the brown skinned, dark skinned men didn't play into their obsession and their superiority complex, then they probably wouldn't really deal with them as much. But of course, the light skinned females, they know they can run that game. They know that, they're dealing with some trick ass fuck niggas. Yeah. And I think like the strong praising of, from some brown skinned females to dark skinned males, brown skinned, dark skinned females to brown skinned, dark skinned males. The praising, I think they feel like they're being really pro-black when they, uplift them. And I can see on the surface, I could see where that comes from, but not necessarily. A lot of this tends to be low key like media manipulation of some sort. And also I think the brown skin, dark skin women want their counterparts' approval. They want to make sure that ain't nothing wrong between them. And that may low key kind of go back to slavery, honestly, because back in the day, unfortunately, the brown skin, dark skin women, they were being raped. Even though they had relationships and marriages with their brown skin, dark skin men, they still had to unfortunately endure being raped by, the cave beasts, these, plantation slave owners. And just think about that relationship, the relationship between the brown skin, dark skin men and the brown skin, dark skin female after this rape has happened, he's feeling some type of way, she's feeling some type of way, right? So she has to make sure that this man knows that despite what, she had to go through with this cave beast, that she is still here and down for him. She's trying to just keep it together as best as she could. So that's my theory on where I think that may come from, and I think it just probably was passed down from generation to generation to generation, right? And also, some brown-skinned, dark-skinned women really feel like, will just take a bullet for these brown-skinned, dark-skinned men that low-key tend to not feel the same way about their female counterpart, you know? Yeah. And hey, I guess since we're speaking about, slavery and whatnot, these brown-skinned, dark-skinned men, low-key, use these light-skinned biracial females as their consolation prize, as their stand-in for a white woman, And in some cases, they may even like the mixture, because, that biracial light-skinned female can sometimes capture, the beauty that white women are upheld for, that being in that white woman beauty standard, but also having that, black woman sex appeal, right? That body, right? You know, and low key, these light skinned biracial females are like low key the slave owners' daughters too. If you really think about it, they didn't really like claim them like that, but they were their daughters biologically. And these brown skinned, dark skinned dudes have no problem being the garbage man. All right. No problems. But yeah, that alliance between the colorist, dark skinned men and light skinned women, it's very toxic and very destructive and damaging to the community. And it also just goes to show that we as a community, we really have more healing to do than we think. And, I think that we're at a point where we can start healing, because prior to, we were always just surviving, and you can't really think about healing when you're just trying to survive. You don't really have that luxury. You just like, I got to get to the next place, get to the next step, so you can't really think about, your mental health and all that good stuff. But I think we're at a place where I think we can kind of start at least putting some focus on that. But I think people are afraid. They're afraid of change, because change to many people is scary. And as well, there are many people who are invested in the colorist system. Just like there's many people invested in the system of racism. They are really comfortable in the position that they're in, and they don't want it to change. And, But I'm going to bring this video to a close. Thank you very much for watching. Please feel free to leave your comments. Until the next video, adios and goodbye for now.